You grew up playing sports?
Yeah, well,
Like team sports?
oh shit, man, not really. Not until like I was turned 12, just because we were so poor growing up, couldn't afford the gear. You know what I mean? Like the football gear, like the
That's why
helmets.
soccer's so popular in the world, bro.
Bro, I
Anybody
wish
can
Oh
play.
yeah, I did play soccer, but I was one of those fuckers who was like getting tired sitting on the sideline. Bro, I get like on the video, bro. It's like, bro, I got the ball. I made the goal, but it was the wrong side. I was like, fuck this. I go sit down on the side after that. Like, my mom's like, what are you doing?
The OG, they call it own goal, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And then after that was like canoe paddling.
Yeah, that's a team sport.
Yeah, and that was like when I was my mom, actually my grandfather was one of the founders of HCRA, right? Or Okra, like the back in the day when they first started canoe paddling. So I would go to all the races, sit there all day, watch these kids race, and it wasn't until I was like 12 years old. My mom said, "You want to paddle?" I'm like, yeah, I finally get to paddle.
So you wanted to.
Yeah, I really wanted to at that point.
That's the club that launched right out by
So this is in Kahalu'u, right over the bridge. So you get hygienic store, and then you go over the bridge.
Yeah.
We call it Loa'a's, yeah.
Okay.
But it's Keahiakohoi, and quick story, bro. That property there was condemned from my grandfather. That was our property. From there over the bridge to where now is they have Key Project, and they have a football field. That was all my grandfather then's property. And when my mom then was like 6, 7 years old, there was a huge flood that came through, and so they condemned most of the property to build that lagoon in the back, the flood control.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how my grandfather and my mom then ended up in Kaneohe. But that land is our family aina, yeah. So when I had the opportunity to paddle, like, bro, going back home, and it really opened up my doors to just being on the ocean.
I was gonna say that you didn't grow up diving, bodyboarding, none of that. Just
Not really, cause my dad is Howlett straight from Pennsylvania, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm straight white, half off the top, And so my mom is the Hawaiian, and typical heartbroken family growing up. Like my father in and out of the house, alcoholism and stuff. But bro, it's freaking people don't know, bro. I'm half white right off the top, man.
But you grew up, so you came here, and then your first real time on the ocean was through paddling.
Yeah, through paddling.
Team sport. You do the regattas,
regatta, summer. Got to the point where it's like that was my obsession. I wanted to be the best in the world. You know what I mean? Like, so me and my brother would train. I would go like 6 o'clock in the morning, paddle, and then we would go straight to football practice. This is in high school days. Do the first practice during the summer, then boom, we go straight to paddling again. Then we have the second football practice, and that's how I actually left Hawaii, bro. I went to Tahiti. We did a 32-mile race around Mo'orea when I was 16. That's where I got my first tattoo, this turtle right there.
You got it over there?
Yeah, you got it down there in Tahiti.
There you
go. Bro, that's a crazy story in itself. But
oh wait, what position were you?
Powerhouse. So 3 and 4, yeah. That's where I was.
And your bro too.
And my bro, yeah.
Oh, we gotta have the brothers in the power spot.
You know that. And so really it gave me something positive, in our life, through all the hardships that we go through. At least we had something to look forward to, we're gonna paddle. And anytime you start winning, you just get some more addicting, and got to the point where we are getting ready for the world sprints. This is the Olympics of paddling, right? You got people from New Caledonia, Japan, Europe, crazy. And this particular year, I think it was 2006, was down in Aotearoa, down in New Zealand. So me and my bro fucking fundraised. We wrapped probably 4,000 laulau, sold laulau, because we're poor growing up. We gotta fundraise if we want to go.
Which is how we can connect to that later on.
Yeah. And so then, bro, that was a huge experience in our life. And that's where I got this, my second tattoo from Aotearoa down here.
What is that? Show that? No,
this one up here.
Behind the mic, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I started my tattoo collection through paddling,
Bruh, I didn't know that piece. I didn't know you was that heavy into the paddling community.
Bro. It's
And I know how
super
strong
heavy.
and deep that community is, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the Lao Lao hustling part, was that, whose idea was that? Was that like a club thing?
Yeah, that was on club thing because my Uncle Stan and Kamu guys, our coaches, they understood, a lot of us Kekis.
Yeah, I remember. That's why I remember fundraising for our soccer trips, for our tournaments, for
Yeah.
our gear, whatever.
Have to,
Bruh, everybody had that hustle in them.
Exactly. And
That's
it's good for the Kekis.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, it's better that we teach them a skill, like rap lao lao, smoke meat, dry fish, or whatever, instead of going out and just holding a net and be like, hey, we're going here. Can you give us your money? Like
The value exchange there is very different
very different.
because now I'm on the side of the road getting stopped, right? Versus me going to something.
Yeah.
Or you could say like, because we used to door knock. We used to go around, excuse me, but these are people we know already. Auntie, Uncle Dan, hi, you want to help us fundraise? And then we say our reason. So it kind of gave us that communication piece too, right? Like,
Yeah,
how do you
exactly.
communicate a need? It's not me, it's my team. For what? Oh, we got to represent Hawaii in this tournament. Oh,
Guaranteed,
hey,
boy. You know what I mean?
give me 2 boxes, right?
Exactly.
So that whole and that was a whole nother edge of competition too. Because we all competitive on the field. We know that.
Yeah, you know that.
But when it comes, fundraising time, how many boxes you sold?
Exactly, exactly.
And we all had that one guy who was just good at it, outnumbering everybody. So, okay, you got the Lao Laos. You got your way to a Tahiti.
Yep, we
Boom.
took the 80.
Tatted up. Is it fair to call it tats or what? How did they present it to you?
So down there, they call them tatao or, tattoo shop, they say it on the... So, bro, I gotta tell you this story.
Well, what's up?
So, fuck, bro. I'm like, what, 15, 16, right? We're in Papaete, which is the capital of Tahiti, right? And Mo'orea is one of the smaller islands out in the bay. So the rest of the team, they all jump on the ferry. They head over. It's me and my 2 friends. Now, I had to call my mom. My mom was talking to my uncle, like, yeah, he can get the okay. So, boom, got the okay.
Yeah.
Now, I got 3 of us young kids walking around this town, like, looking
15, huh?
Yeah, 15. And so we get to this one tattoo shop, and my friend them is, sitting down, getting drawn up. And I'm sitting there watching the TV, and it's all in French. I can't understand nothing. Watching the TV, bro, this big fat guy on this little moped. He had this little, helmet on. He pulls in, talking to the tattoo artist, and then I'm sitting there just looking at the TV, like, what the hell is going on? He's like, hey, brother, you smoke? I'm like, oh, no, man, I don't smoke cigarette. Dude busts out a plant, a huge plant, dried plant, bro. And I'm like, yeah, I smoke. Yes, sir. Here we go. You know what I mean? And so that
Just one freshly dried, ready for go.
ready for what? Right out the plastic bag. Wow. I was like, oh yeah, I smoke. So boom, blazing up, and that right there was, for me, what a huge eye opener is. Like, no matter where you go in the world, there's good people. You know what I mean? Like, I know this guy. Like, I don't even speak the same language as them. Really, like, they speak English, kind of.
I don't, yeah.
But that aloha that they showed us, and just seeing us like, oh, where you guys from? Oh, Hawaii. As soon as you say Hawaii, it's over. You know what I mean? It's like instantly you guys family already.
But that wasn't your first international trip, was it?
That was my first.
Oh, that's the best way then.
Bro, it's crazy. And so like, boom, hey, we get our tattoos, and then we got to catch the ferry to the island, right? So I'm like, oh, hey, can I buy some? He's like, oh, no, too expensive. It breaks me off some. So I got all the boys back at the island, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So boom, we come in and like, oh, showing off our tattoos, like, yeah. And I'm like, boom. So yeah, after we did our yoga and our stretching that night, me and my 2 boys went down and fucking blazing, And then, bro, it just was huge for me, like, to work hard. And then I think there was like 100 crews in that race, and we came in like 7th out of 100.
And this is international. This is the World Cup of.
No, this was a junior, like, a long distance race. So it's all the kids.
My bad.
From
15.
Tahiti.
Yeah.
The World Sprints was in Aotearoa in New Zealand.
Different. Okay. Tahiti
And
first.
that was
Okay.
the Olympics. And so yeah, man. So we came in like 7th And bro, we got the respect from everybody. So we all lined up out there and like, bro, they're trying to flip our armors. You know what I mean? They're like banging into us, yelling at us in French. Like,
For real. And you
Yeah.
get 7 out of 100.
yeah. And we was like, fuck 'em, wow.
Only Hawaii team or what?
Yeah, only Hawaii team.
Wow. So you're telling me there's 99 Tahitian teams?
Yeah, bro. In Tahiti, paddling is like the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, that's the sport.
Is it broadcasted the same way?
Broadcasted, and it's one of the few professional sports where they get paid to do it. Huh? So like from a young age, these kids are taught like, hey, you become one of the best paddlers in the world. You can do that for your living, you know.
What are we talking? We're not talking Cristiano Ronaldo amounts, obviously.
Nah.
But like
But enough
to make a living.
to make a living, yeah. And nowadays with the social media and sponsorships, I mean, you know, it's up to them.
Do they have social media?
Yeah, they
No,
get
okay.
social media, bro.
Bro, I gotta check 'em
Yeah,
out.
you gotta check them out. I follow some brothers down there, and couple of them was our steersman in a race, and then this other brother I follow, they do the Tahitian pearls.
Bruh, who's the high seas Hawaii guy?
Oh yeah, so High Seas Hawaii brother is Josh Schumann.
Josh Schumann.
So Josh Schumann is actually the guy who built my boat.
Oh, for real?
It
True
was-
Grit.
True Grit was his boat.
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh. And what, he's a cameraman? Bro, I love what he's doing, bro. That's why I brought him up. 'Cause like,
Because he's a hammer. So technically he's a welder by trade, yeah. So a little bit his background, he's from Maryland, right? From the mainland. Came down to Hawaii, was working the shipyards, Pearl Harbor. Became a welder, right? Met one local girl, you know, fell in
Yeah.
love, get 3 kikis, you know. But when I met him, he was going through some stuff in his life where he had to get rid of the boat. Bro, I came home from a long line trip. My wife picks me up maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on Craigslist. Like, oh shit, I see this boat. But I'm like, bro, this is my boat. Like, and at this time, we're moving from Kaneohe to our house in Nanakuli. So we packing up all our shit and we're leaving, yeah. So I got 2 trucks loaded, and then the next morning I told my wife, like, hey, I see this boat. I gotta go check them out.
yeah.
And then she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I told my brother because he's driving the other truck. I'm like, hey, we gotta make one pit stop real fast. So we pull up to the marina, call the brother. He's like, yeah, come jump on the boat. Bro, as soon as we jump on the boat, he starts it up, takes us for a little drive. I'm like, bro, this is my fucking boat. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
knew it already.
I just knew it. Like, I got super obsessive. Yeah. Like, so, and the price, like, it was crazy, bro. Like, yeah, I got so much on me right now. I gave him that. And he's like, hey, you know, somebody else comes with the full amount. I'm like, bro, fuck that. I'll be back at the end of the week. And me and my little bro, me and my bro is
Yeah.
like, bro, we started smashing Akkus, like cutting, drying. Within the week and a half, I sold enough dry Akku to pay off the rest of the boat. And the rest is history, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love it. That's the second time now you're talking about basically fundraising / hustling your way.
Exactly, bro, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be able to get on the water.
Bro.
That's the second time now. I mean, I knew most people, I think, probably know you as the dry Aku guy.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
I mean, everyone knows the orange boards
With the
with
black
the black,
sign.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
tracks, Waimanalo. Bro, that's a lot of eyes.
Bro,
That's a lot of eyes every
It's
day,
a lot
bro.
of years, bro.
And how long? Because you said 15. We got that to
Yeah, so let's see. I started fishing after high school, but I would say it's probably the reason why I started, or you kind of know the story. The reason why I started making dry Aku was because my family house was being foreclosed on. So at the time, I'm probably 18, just about turning 19. I'm already commercial fishing with the old man. My younger brother drops out of high school to start working. Basically, me and him work together to pay the mortgage. And so that's where I started making dry Aku. So maybe like around 2008, 2009 is when I started making dry Aku to fucking basically save the house, yeah? So my brother would fucking come night times, cut with me, and then he'll go cut trees in the morning. And it was crazy because he's one of the better football players at Castle. And bro, we had the coaches coming down to the house like, what are you doing? You gotta come back to school. And my brother was like, bro, it's either work, save the house that I live at, or go play football. It's like there's no way we can go and play football. You know what I mean? So for many years, me, my brother, my sister, all of us work hard to this make dry aqua and pay the mortgage.
Did you explain it to the coach the way you just did to me? Like at that time as a 16-year-old?
Yeah.
Or how did you basically like say no?
Well, basically exactly like that. It's like, what would you do? You know what I mean? Like if you was in that position.
And he understood.
Yeah.
Or he kept nagging after that?
No, after that it was Paul and even my mom. My mom had like one of my uncles, Uncle Mark Stride, the one I was telling you about. He's the farmer, the taro farmer.
Yeah.
Like, hey, uncle, you gotta talk to them because they're gonna drop out of school. And he's like, well, why are you doing it? It's not like we just like go drop out of school and go party. You know what I mean? It's like we have heavy kuleana that there was no males in our life stepping up.
You had to be the one to save the house.
Exactly.
Who else gonna do it?
Exactly. That's the only thing I could think is like if nobody, at that time, my 2 older cousins were in jail. One of them still in jail, doing 25, you know what I mean? And then the rest of my cousins were like on drugs, you know what I mean? And so it's like...
Who else?
Exactly.
It's going to be me. Exactly. Or and your brother.
And my bro.
Sister too.
My sister too, bro.
See? Siblings, huh?
Exactly, bro.
Well, this is like 2008, 9. You guys is getting into high gear, making this a regular thing. The goal is we can provide, basically.
At that time, we were cutting, we was making about 150 pounds of Draco a week. So that's like...
You was catching them too, or you was...
No, so my mentor, Anthony, right? That's where all of this, like, it starts so far long ago. Like,
okay.
But he was always there for me, you know what I mean? So I always have, like, connection. If I really need something, I can call and make it happen. But I don't like to make those calls because I know how important those calls can be, right?
Right.
So it's like all of us working hard. We got to the point where we paying the mortgage by ourselves without help. You know what I mean? Like every week we smashing. And then I got to this point in my life where it's like, I want to go serve a mission for my church, right? So it's 2 years. You pay, you go, you serve, knock on the door. Hey, I'm the missionary for the church, blah, blah, blah. So when I went and I told my mentor, I went and told my mom, my grandma, them, like, hey, I feel like I have to do this. You know what I mean? It's like, they're like, but what about the house? What about the business? And I'm like, I don't know. I cannot tell you about that, but I can tell you what I feel inside my na'au. And that's how I always operate. It's like, if my na'au, you can listen to your mind, but when the na'au starts talking, you cannot sleep. You know what I mean?
That's how you know.
That's how you know. And so for me, it was a huge leap of faith, not knowing if I was going to even come home to my house being there, But after I left, my brother took it up. He got ready to serve his mission. He served 2 years in Ghana, Africa. He loved it, bro. That's his people out there, bro. And then, so he left. Then my sister took it up. And so the whole time, like, she's running it with my mom and my dad. And then she goes on her mission. Now there's nobody doing it, right?
Empty house.
Empty house, bro. And I don't know, whoever you believe in upstairs, bro, like, I came home and the house is still there. When I left, bro, I had, like, Kelo will tell you, bro, I had my computers, I had my freaking Pro Tools, I had my microphones, like me and Pooh.
Because he was recording a lot.
Exactly, he was recording a lot. And I came home to, like, a cot, some cardboard boxes, like, basically all my shit got stolen.
And sold.
And sold, yeah.
Right? It's still in the neighborhood, just spread out.
Exactly. And so it's like, shit, what's you gonna do? You gonna cry about it? And like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Next step, you just keep working towards it.
I mean, I feel like these experiences that you've lined up for us so far, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, I know. But like a lot of young men on the West Side who don't have a role model and gotta search outside the house for a role model, there's a lot of us, huh?
Yeah.
And a lot of what you're saying is, people not in their head, because I get it. I seen it too. And I think that kind of process though, that who comes out of that, of those group of people, can be the kind of people who excel at, for example, fishing or business, real estate, anything, because they've made it through this thing where it's like, I had to almost figure it out myself, like this puzzle, right? I put it together this way, you put it together that way, he put it together that way, whatever, but it's kind of like the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same image. And then we respect that. And like, that's one thing I noticed about you from the jump too. I was like, oh, bro, this guy already put together a lot of pieces, you know what I mean? In his own way, you know what I mean? He put together a lot of pieces that got him right here. And it makes me excited, like when you say who's upstairs, everybody got their own beliefs about that. But the point where it's like, I don't think these are as much coincidences as they are like another piece that's going in.
Right.
And we putting it together. So talk about all the pieces that you connected to, I'm connected to, the kind of picture that it's forming. I know because I got to we talked about Caleb outside. I was like, oh man, I got to give him his flowers too though. So I kind of want to bring it back to what a lot of people do know right now. They might be coming in from the native, or you guys changed the handle to,
it's just that,
it's your name now.
yeah.
So
Well, no, it's the native Hawaiian, but then it has my name under there.
I want to shout out that because this is a video thing, right?
Yeah.
But the way I look at it as somebody who, like Caleb, is, for those of you who don't know, Caleb's one of the guys who does the video. Well, basically the guy. He is the guy.
Man.
I say one of the guys because you also do lives.
Yeah.
Right? But like Caleb is in a lot of ways wearing the kind of shoes that I wear.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I can't wait to get him out here and go over that shit because you know it's going to be crazy, right?
Oh, you know that.
But I mean, even if he was here right now, it'd be so great because you felt the energy from him the first time the way I did.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this guy doesn't know like half the sliders. It's always like the ones that move, he goes all the way.
Yeah.
And you see it, like you see it manifest itself like in his physique, but you also see it manifest itself in like his work and the depth that he goes to. And I don't think it's possible unless you have that kind of like that mindset attitude to even attack a project with.
Yeah.
And so just the way that I see you and him, it's almost like I describe it as dancing a lot of times.
Yes, sir.
You know, or even paddling or something where you got to collectively, it's not just your movement that decides the outcome, right?
Yeah.
It got to be multiple people. Dancing is an easy way to like visualize it.
Yeah.
But there's a lead and a follow, right? That is a feeling I have when I'm on this side of the camera and someone's on the other side of the camera. And I'm like, okay, this person, this is our 257th time doing this, right? There's that kind of like, we don't need to warm up. We don't need to like do like all these little mini steps. We just click, boom, go.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, that kind of feeling as a person who grew up playing team sports, mainly soccer and baseball over here at Kamakila Park. You know what I mean? Like, bruh, Kapolei Regional, like I understand that kind of like shared responsibility towards a goal. And I think as young men, without the role models in the home, we have to look outside a lot of times to sports.
Yeah.
So a lot of time we're idolizing these people on the screen doing these things, like MJ, whoever, right?
Exactly.
And bruh, that's how I feel with Caleb. That's how I feel with you. That's how I feel with Keloa. You know what I mean? Like my brother. Like there's just some people you just tap in and then it's like, skip the warm up. You do your thing, I do my thing.
Exactly.
And we go. And I see that happening with you and him. Let's just tell the peeps. So like, how did y'all meet? I know the story already, but he was
so he's my instructor.
He's your teacher.
Bro. He's my teacher. Yeah. So little bit background. He was my instructor for the Native Observer program that was held by Alulike, right? The nonprofit. So there were 11 seats in the whole state, right? So to be a marine biologist for NOAA or an observer, you need a minimum of a bachelor's in marine biology. I don't have any kind of degree whatsoever, straight up. I'm just a Levita, but they created a vocation program where they teach you the skills that you need to complete the job, right? So Caleb was my instructor in the first class for the Alulike, and that's how we met. And after I graduated the program, became an observer, the next year he asked me to be his assistant teacher. And like they said, the rest is history. It's like me and him, this click, like you said, is like, that was my brother from the day one, you know, like I remember sitting in the office planning out the next day. Like, hey, we're gonna go over species identifications. Okay, so I want to make the what is that circle thing? That dichotomy, whatever.
What pen diagram?
Yeah, that Venn diagram. Yeah, so like, yeah, so we had everything set up. I'm like, bro, screw this. So throw on a beat, and he's like, what? And I just threw on a beat, and I started freestyling, and he's like, oh my gosh, and then boom. From then on, we realized, hey, bro, this is more than just work. You know, this is our life. I want to be your friend, basically.
Wow.
And then from then, he was always into videography, right? Like he always making music videos on the boats. He making his little series, and I was always digging it. And he got me into it, so I made a few videos while I was out fishing, you know. And then I don't know, man. It's just we always had a connection. We always kept in touch. And then
he ended up on the boat.
Ended up on the boat, bro. It's like I remember. So this is like years later. He's telling me like, bro, P, I'm glad I didn't tell you, but when you was buying the True Grit, I almost tried to talk you out of it. I was like, oh shit, I'm glad you didn't. You know what I mean?
He didn't think it was the right move.
He didn't. A lot of people didn't think it was the right move, right?
And look at what's happening now, right?
Exactly. But like I said, like I always follow my na'au, right? Win, lose, or draw. I know that if I follow this and say we fell, I can feel like, yeah, I have no regrets in my mind because I gave everything. Yeah. Right? And
how do you, I think right there, that speaks to like the ethos or like the core, if you will, of someone and like money. Because I've experienced, because we're talking about risk too, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to risk it for?
Yeah.
What are you going to risk opportunity cost too? Because like, if I don't do this, then that's going to cost me this down the line.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like get a job, fucking Walmart or something. You know what I mean? Like, but like you said, taking a risk, I'm going to be a fisherman. Bruh, that kind of a attitude when you talk about money. Someone told me like this random guy, this is on Sanjo, this is in Japan. So I lived there 8 years out. And we would meet in this one spot in Kyoto. It's like if we was to say on Oahu where's Kyoto, I'd say it's kind of like Kalakaua, Waikes maybe, you know, where it's like it's busy, there's people, but if you go 5 blocks that way, it's kind of quiet. Right. And maybe a little bit sketch. So we cruising over there, and this guy I never met before, he was just cruising, drinking, whatever. And he's like, but I can tell, and this is in Japanese too, but he's like, I can tell you don't care about money. And I was like, what the because we just cruising, bro. I was like, we drinking. I thought we was just cruising. It's like the pre-funk before you go out to like a bar or something. Right. Just on the river cruising. Pre-game. And then he just say that to me. And I didn't respond because I was like, what? Thinking in my head, like, what does he mean by that? And he followed up with, say, bro, I can tell you don't care about money because you just see it as a tool. And it kind of like shook me because one, I wasn't in the mood for like that philosophy, right? But then two, like it kind of hit. Like I was like, oh, there's been a lot of times where I'm like, I can get it, I can use it. And the marriage or like when you put up the wall and you hear something like 40K, bro, I don't shake, I don't stutter. Like 40K, it could be 40B, whatever. Yeah. It's what is it going to move and how can I use it? And so it's not like a thing where you get like sticker shock or like you might think like, shit, what number I got to make? I'll make it. What is a mortgage? I'll make it. Whatever. It don't matter. Like that kind of like don't caring about money. It's been hard for me to like internalize. And I think recently with all of this kind of like content we make in, I started thinking about it more, but it sounded like you had that of like, whatever it is, I'll just get it. If it costs this much for a boat, I'll just get it. Maybe somebody will be like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. But you're like, no, I get it. I get the boat, and then I go out on the ocean. Yeah. I don't go on the ocean if I don't got a boat, so I'm just looking at getting a boat. Yeah. Boom, got it. Next. And so like that puzzle thing I was saying earlier, boom, that was just a piece for you to put together. I have a boat now. It might not be the best shape. It might not be the best situation, price, whatever, but I have a boat. Yeah. Next. Exactly. Next. Which, you know what? Like, let's talk about the kind of actual fishing that you do. Because you were dropping gems on me outside earlier about the actual structure of, well, all the papers you need before you even get the boat. The kind of boats, the long line fleet, how many there are out there, who's captains. I know your sister's working on something interesting. Like, let's get into that kind of the real side of fishing that people don't see.
I said, well, like, I guess for me, easy because I physically seen and been there and witnessed successful people who fish, right? It's like my mentors. So in my mind, it's like, follow the steps they did. You should be able to get there, right? It's not rocket science. So I always, like I told my wife, when I growing up, when you take me to a job, whether it be cutting trees or fishing, like I would look at the job and I would try and break it down systematically from hardest to easiest. And I'll attack the hardest straight up first. Go after the hardest part of the job, the goal, whatever it is, with the fresh eyes, fresh spirit that you have. Attack the hard part first. So that way, when you get to the easier part, your energy levels might be matching. Instead of going easy first and using up all your energy, and when you get to the real, hit the wall, like time for goal, and you're like, oh, I'm exhausted already. By the time I finish that, and you just starting that, I'm downhill already. I'm coming downhill. So I like to look at it like that. Like, yeah, if we got to pay the mortgage, how much is the mortgage? Okay. Well, how many bags of fish is that? You know, like break it down to the smallest. Okay. If it's that many bags, how much I got to sell today, tomorrow, and the next day to make that go? And so as long as I continue to just break it down to the smallest amounts and attack each one, when I turn around, you know, you're halfway done already. And like in this industry, fishing industry is a huge risk because it's fishing, it's never catching, yeah? So when I look at my mentors, just for like in the long line example, even before you can start fishing, let's say you want to invest into a boat or invest into a long line vessel to start a business. Okay, so you have to buy the boat, but before you can go fishing, you need to buy the long line permit. The last long line permit that was auctioned off was somewhere in the $340,000 range just for the permit. So you're looking at, oh shit, I gotta get big money just before I can even go fishing.
The paper before the boat.
Paper before the boat. Okay, so now you get the paper. Now you get the boat. You're looking at another 150, 200,000. So now you're almost $500,000 into it, right? Before you set one hook. And then you got your gear. You got few bait, hooks, lines, lead, you know, and then you're not even talking about the crew. So when you're looking at what it takes to get into this industry, especially the fishing industry, probably similar to real estate, you know, you have a lot of overhead costs, right? Before you even get out the gate. So coming up, you know, learning from my mentors, watching them, trying to, like you said, figure out the puzzles. Like my puzzle is not the same as theirs one is, you know, like I might not have 500K right now to drop. Okay. So I break it down to the next smallest amounts. Okay. What is what's a goal that I can actually accomplish? Well, I can't own a long line boat today. Maybe 5 years I can, but what do I have? I have my boat. Okay. So what can I do with my boat? Oh, I can run lobster gear. I can run fish traps. I can run bottom fishing, you know, like I can do other things that could get me to the bigger boat eventually, right? So when I look at it, that's the steps that I have to take. And I'm actually falling in love with it. You know what I mean?
Fuck, like, me too. From the sidelines, bro. From the sidelines, I'm falling in love with it too. I mean, what you doing collectively too with other fishermen, I think. That's why I brought up High Seas Hawaii, or right. Josh, you know, because he popped up on my feed and I'm like, oh, someone's taking cinema on a boat now. Right? Which Caleb's been doing, like this guy, Josh. I'm like, good. I want to see more of it. Bro. I didn't know
people wanted to see it.
Bro, I love those. Watch my Explorer right now.
Yeah, it's
lures, fishing, and people on boats, people on the riverbank, like knots, all kinds.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I'm very grateful to Caleb, even Josh. Like, Josh, when I first bought the boat, even him, like talking to him, he's like, bro, like if I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people tell me like they wouldn't have done it. And that's fine. That's them.
Again, that's their puzzle.
Yeah. But he's like, he was one of the first persons who told me, bro, you guys got something unique. This is before me and Caleb got together. I would just go live, mostly all lives, you know?
Yeah. What's in the cooler?
Exactly. Because my theory was like, when I look at other fishing handles or whatever, Instagram, YouTube, is like highly edited, very nice final product, right? But I don't know if that was yesterday, last year, 2 years ago, you know what I mean? So when I say I'm a fisherman and I'm fishing, what's in the cooler and I go live, you know it's live. It's not yesterday, not tomorrow, not 3 years ago, you know, it's right now on the ocean, opening the cooler. So that's where that whole concept came from. Is like, because I don't want anybody to be like, oh, that's old. That was not you. That was last year. You know what I mean? Okay, fine then. Yeah, how about I go on right now so you can see? You know what I mean? And then,
Which is very effective. Very effective.
and it's something like I told Caleb, like, you know, like some people they'll pay to boost their stuff, or because I even thought about it, because I was like trying so hard to get followers. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. It's like I think, you know, oh, I'm the shit making these little videos. You know what I mean? How come nobody following, nobody liking? Well, that's not my thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because obviously, as soon as Caleb started doing his thing, which is basically what I did but better, right? Because he's better at it, bro, and it shows. It's like bing, 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 bing. It's like, oh,
Hey, that's the beauty of the sum is more than the whole of the whole is more than the sum of the parts. Like 2 + 2 is 5 kind of thing, where the better person he is, the better you are, the better it's going to be. And actually, so when I saw or not when I saw, when you was telling me outside about the way that the long lines are run, that's something I was like, oh, I don't see too many videos about that.
right.
Which I don't know, is that on purpose because there's a lot of shady shit going on?
Nah, like I
or
said, it's a very archaic system. It's like you find the fish. I'm not gonna tell you where I found the fish, kind of deal. It's the unwritten rule. It's like it's that back side of the curtain that it's there. You know it's there, and you hear about it, and you kind of peek behind it every once in a while, but the people behind it don't want to show you what's going on. You know what I mean? And which is fine. But now as we move into the future, and I always like, my philosophy is always be like fucking B-Rabbit from fucking 8 Mile. You know what I mean? Like, put it all out there.
Yeah.
That way you use whatever you like. You know what I mean? Like, that way I can move freely without looking over my shoulder, because
And what?
Exactly.
People knew already.
Exactly.
And what? Not like you're getting blindsided.
Exactly.
Well, what is your sister trying to do? And why is that significant?
Right. So what Ulana, Caleb, them is trying to do is, first of all, she will be the first Native Hawaiian Wahine longline captain in the fleet, which is unheard of, you know. In the fishing industry, like I said, it's very archaic. It was always no women on the boat. Never.
Well, give us a year, like up until 2024.
Bruh, like into like, yeah, basically. You know what I mean? Like, it's like one of those unwritten rules. It's like, for some reason,
Okay.
nobody leaves on Friday, right? Like, if you're gonna leave on Friday, you wait till Saturday, you leave Saturday morning. It's like, no wahine on the boat. I don't know if it's whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay.
No making shishi out by the fish door. You know what I mean? Like, these little kind of unwritten rules of the superstitious stuff, you know what I mean, of fishing.
You know, fishing has a lot of superstition, not just boats, just any kind of fishing in the world.
Exactly.
So I can see it being played out there.
But, you know, it's 2024. And another reason why it's so important, and why I'm glad that Caleb, Ulana, and the big dogs in the industry is actually taking a vested interest in it, is because right now the average captain in the fleet is probably in their 50s going into their 60s. So we have a whole generation of knowledge of captains who 5-10 years from now won't be here anymore. And we have a handful of younger captains. And we don't have enough people to fill the outgoing workers, basically. So like our ages, we're aging out and we don't have the workers coming in. Meaning that we don't have the quality that we need. You could just throw any random, like I was saying earlier, like these boats, technically, you could have just a U.S. citizen run them. They don't have to have a captain's license, which is something we want to change. We want to make it like standard
To have a captain's license.
to have a captain's license. So each boat would be ran by a legit captain, not just some random person to check the box, U.S. citizen. Okay, yes, go fishing, following the rules, right?
Okay.
So now we want to look ahead and regulate ourselves to a higher standard. So that way we're not waiting for NOAA, the council, to come and tell us what to do. We're already thinking for ourselves, okay, we're going to encounter these problems in the future. So how we address them now? So one of them is creating a captain school, where we can train the next generation of longline captains, where they can come in, get certified training, get their captain's license, their marine mammal handling cards, all their qualifications so that they can go and fish. And then, of course, they'll have a career after that. But like a lot of these captains, the owners are asking them to do like 12, 13 trips a year.
So when you say owner, it just means the person who invested in that fleet or whatever.
Yeah, the owner of the company, the owner of the boat.
And then they hire captains for each
vessel.
Okay.
And then
that's where you're trying to train these captains, right?
Yeah.
So there can be more captains out
So
there.
there can be more captains. So instead of burning out your captain, because when you have a good captain and the captain is making you money as an owner, you want him to keep making you money, right? Like, oh, hey, he's smashing, keep going. But as a fisherman, as a captain, you get burnt out real fast. Like you notice a lot of them heavy drinkers. You know
Substance of, yeah.
Yeah, they have.
Because what, 20, 30 days? What is it?
5 days on land, 30 days out at sea, doing 11, 12 trips a year. You know what I mean? Like some of them spend more than 300 days out at sea. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
It's hard to have any kind of family life, right?
Hard. So when I look at it from an owner, captain, worker, what I would have, say if I own a longline boat, I would have 2 or 3 captains per boat, and I would run it where like they can do every other trip, so that way they get 1 month home with their family, 1 month on the boat, or if they need another month, that's why you have 3 captains per boat. And the captains who are not on the boat at the time, what I would do for them is I would keep them on unemployment. So that way they still would have some kind of income while the other captain is running the boat, where they're not so stressed, like,
Are those 2 captains only sharing whatever that boat makes specifically, or is the whole fleet? Are you doing an aggregate of like all the fleet?
No, so it would be individual. You have to do it per boat.
I think it makes sense, huh?
Yeah. So that way your captains won't get so burnt out. You'd have better morale on the boat, happier crews, which tend to produce better quality work, whatever industry you're in, right? When the morale is high and people like what they do and like who they're doing it with, they tend to do more of it,
And you gotta like who you're doing it with, because you guys together, whether or not you like it or not.
Exactly.
You're living on top of each other. I think that more than anything is what would lead to that kind of substance abuse or like stress.
Yeah.
Because you cannot do anything about it.
Can't, bro. And what's interesting now that we're moving into the future is like Starlink. Right now, when we started, bro, there's no way for you to get internet out there.
You're not Netflixing out there.
You're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now you are. You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Actually, we are.
Yeah, now.
Hey, talk about morale.
Bro, the morale is way up. It's like they're not thinking like, oh, I hope my family's okay. You know what I mean?
FaceTime them.
They can check on them. You know what I
FaceTime
mean?
them. Do them live.
What's 10 minutes of making sure, the ones I love back home is good. They know I'm out here. I'm good.
Wait, so you're telling me you cannot even do that then right now?
No, you
Unless
can.
you get Starlink.
Yeah, so more and more of the fleet is starting to connect.
Okay.
And you can tell like the boats that have it, the crew, the morale, and the ones that don't have it is like as soon as they get into cell service, bro, we'll be coming in 3 or 4 days, coming home, and as soon as bro, everybody's out there like trying to get their cell, you know what I mean? Like trying to contact home because you're
bro.
so isolated out there. So now as the world gets closer, now I think it's a time for us to shift. Like, okay, hey, they're getting older. Even now the owners are starting to understand, like, okay, we can't keep pushing these guys to the dirt. You know what I mean? Like, there's a better way to do it.
Sounds like that would automatically. I think most people like closest thing they get to being on a boat is being on a like 10-hour plane ride.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when else can you not go anywhere and you got to deal with the people around you?
Yeah.
It's like airplanes.
Yeah.
But one for 30 days, you know what I mean? That's not. So if you had, people cannot make a 10-hour flight without Netflix already.
Yeah.
So that like these kind of, when you're talking about it, I can see it. I'm like, but no one's making a video about, or like I could see Kayla making a documentary or something and this being a scene in it. The reality, like a bunch of fishermen just out there, like trying to get on signal.
Exactly.
But if you had Starlink, fuck, a projector, fucking put them on.
Bro. And that's the thing. Like I've been on the spectrum of boats that I've been on the Long Line Fleet range from like hotel amenities, like beautiful bed, AC, you know what I mean, all the best food you could eat, to sleeping in bed bug infested rack that's barely big enough for me to fit in, and eating like portioned out 6 chickens every day, you know what I mean, or chicken feet, and that's it because we only have so much food per day until we get home, like rations, and it's good. I mean, for me, I don't care. I learn either way, I'll survive. But to see like that there's a better way to do it, and it's archaic to think that, hey, I'll save every penny by getting less food. I'm gonna save every penny by, you know what I mean, like cutting all these corners. And then you realize like, oh, how come the fish is not as nice as this boat? Or how come these guys not taking care of the equipment as good as this boat? Mm-hmm. They treating your shit just like you treating your shit. Like shit. You know what I mean? Like, instead of you being like, hey, invest in the crew, invest in your equipment, invest in, you know what I mean? And
so you're saying that it's archaic, not just like with the tools used, but the mindset too. The way that crews are run or business is done. And so Ulana having this new position is kind of resetting the standard then.
Resetting the standard.
Opening the doors, you're training new captains to fill these spots. Maybe the actual structure is going to be closer to like how you said you would run if you was the owner. And you know what I mean? 2 captains, 3 captains, a boat, whatever. And then what about like for me as the guy buying poke at Safeway or Foodland, Times, whatever?
Right.
How that structure is right there affect me when I'm over there buying my poke bowl?
Shoot, that's some good question, man. It's really hard to say because when you go to places like Safeway, Foodland, and this is a whole nother topic, but like most of the poke that people buy, unless you're asking for the fresh, you get in the previously frozen. And it's not like they get a big sign on the window saying, hey, this one is previously frozen. You know what I mean? You got to look at the fine with a magnifying glass on the stuff, right? Which it's a good step. It's a step in the right direction. At least we distinguishing ours and theirs, right? And so as a consumer, the more we teach them about there's differences, you know what I mean? Like you can ask, is this previously frozen? Is it fresh? When we start educating the consumer, it starts putting the power back into their hands. Like, okay, I understand. I have 4 kids. I can't afford $20 a pound for poke when my son eat 1 pound by himself. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, I gotta go with the previously frozen. And it's an economic thing. It's nothing like, of course, I would love to support owning my fisheries, right? But as one father, as a husband, it's like, we still have budget too, you know?
Here's the nice thing about having a boat is that access straight. No other hands, right? It's your hands to your table, basically.
Yeah.
And that to me is when I see like all this stuff on my Explorer feed of people fishing, that to me is like the same as when I see stuff on my Explorer feed and it's like dude in front of a jet.
Yeah.
dude in a Lambo or something. I'm like, it's different symbols of, I guess you could say wealth, a form of wealth or value, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I like that. Boom, I got it. It's on my table. And I think the more and more hands that it goes through, right, it gets stepped on basically, like anything, right? Like
anything.
and then also the cost just increases as the more hands it goes through.
And normally
So
the quality goes down. Huh?
quality goes down, price goes up because every hand got to take a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it's like how you on the side of the road, I think now there's way more of this direct to customer D2C relationship, especially online, where it's like I know where he is and I can go get it right off. Like you said earlier, like I just caught this. I was live.
Yeah.
So it's like 1 p.m. right now. You get a couple hours, 3 hours for decide, and then maybe you can stop by on the side of the road. Like that accessibility to somebody who's like, oh, it's from his hand to mine. More people getting onto that, I think. And like the way that you have such a presence and it's just growing kind of like automatically at this point, right?
Right.
That's just more eyes. That's more people who know. That's more people who can also feel like they can participate. Like, but I see them catch it, but I want that fresh one right now.
It's so mental.
When you're at Foodland, there's so many hands already touch it. It's behind 5 layers of plastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still getting them.
Yeah.
20 something a pound, whatever.
Yeah.
But when I had that opportunity with Maddie, who caught the Shivia,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, cuz I don't know how many maguro or poke I had in my life. But now I'm seeing like, let's watch the whole process. Same with the mahi mahi. I don't know how many mahi mahis I had. Caught him, cut him up. He let me sample one. He let me sample one mahi mahi, right? I was like, about a shibi, you handle that. You handle that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I hold the holes, but you handle that. Take that home, share it with the fam, bro.
The best.
That same thing with the farm outside. You see, we get a little bit action in the
exactly,
backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, I want that piece in just part of our daily. I don't think we're going like 100% off the grid anytime soon. But we taking our dependency down a little bit. If we can if we can basically add something from home or like from you, like somebody I know, into a meal every day, I think that's a win.
Oh yeah, that would be huge.
Sometimes we have like 2 days a week where we eating like that. But that's the thing is like that's not the norm when it used to be the norm.
Yeah.
And I feel like now there's a little bit more way to get connected with people like you, farmers, same thing. Do you follow what kind of farmers do you follow? Or
yeah, besides Kay's brother and like my family that farm in Kaneohe, I follow there's a whole bunch in Kaneohe, like Kako'o Evie, Kaulua Kalana, Uncle freaking Dean Wilhelm them in Mauna Wili. And that's some of the ones that I follow. And then there's also Ka'ala, on the west side. And I follow some brothers in like Big Island. But yeah, honestly, bro, since we've been growing, I don't have enough to like my messages is so much that I don't have enough product to feed as much people as would like to have some of the product,
In other words, you get way more requests than you have actual fish.
Yeah. And I could be fishing all week and probably still not fill those orders, you know what I mean? Like,
how do you like just every day, like, oh, this was in the cooler. You see something like DM me, or you got like a list, like a menu every day.
So like normally, everybody wants the slippers, right?
Yeah.
That's number one. Like I cannot even catch enough. And then I have some families who are really interested in getting like 3 pounds a week. So I make the effort to make sure, okay, if I get the 3 pounds, they get the 3 pounds. And if I have like about 10 of those families. So most times if those 10 families, after that trip, I don't have any more fish. You know what I mean? Because I'm not running like these long line boats. I'm not coming home with 20,000 pounds. You know what I mean? If I come home with 200 pounds, 300 pounds, that's a lot for me and my dad, 2 people. So normally by the time I come home, these individuals who've been following me since like 400 followers, you know what I mean? Like they've been there and like supporting me from the beginning. I try to always take care of the family first, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's cool. I'm grateful for everybody for the journey now, but bro, when we was nothing and nobody, these guys still was coming and buying fish on the side of the road. You know what I mean? So loyalty to me has to mean something, you know. And so, and then when
Basically the longest time supporters.
yeah,
Yeah. So
the
you
repeat
provide for them,
customers, yeah.
and then there's not more for all the other people.
Yeah, most time there's not
Slide
enough
in.
after, you know, like it's like, oh, sorry guys, like
So are you? Because you said, I guess now I didn't know that before, that you saw the True Grit and trapping as a way to get to the long line. So that is the next thing for
well,
you.
bro, now it's like there's so many different dreams that I have. So right now, my ultimate goal, like if I was to say all money, all businesses aside, if what is my desire to say, like somebody, hey, you can create whatever you wanted,
Yeah.
no matter the cost, whatever.
Yeah.
What would you do? My dream would be to create a vocation training program. It would be called the Native Hawaiian Marine Development and Research Center, where we would create a program to take youth of Hawaii, not only Hawaiian, any youth in Hawaii who has interest in the maritime industry, in the fishing industry, to have some kind of foot in the door. Yeah? Because right now we have a lot of land-based projects, right? Like you come through, you learn how to work the aina, you get certified, then maybe you get one little plot, and then you build your way that way.
Yeah.
So if we had something in the fishing realm, because not everybody likes to work hard. I love working hard, you know what I mean? Like fishing is hard and it makes me feel good, so I like doing it. But not everybody gonna be like that. But there's also fishmongers, people who buy fish and sell fish. There's people who cut fish, you know. In the industry, there's CDL drivers, people who deliver the cargo, you know what I mean? There's so many different opportunities within this industry where I feel like we could facilitate and help our keiki stay home here in Hawaii.
Have jobs, much like
Job.
paddlers in Tahiti might experience.
Exactly.
You
Because
can stay home. You can build here.
yeah, this is not to talk bad about anybody, but like when you have people like the Polynesian Voyaging Society, right? World renowned for the work that they do, right? So they go and they teach our keiki how to navigate by the stars, currents, winds, which is priceless knowledge, right? But after they finish these programs and they're recognized as being able to do this, most of them have to go find a job at Walmart or
School.
or go to this nonprofit. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we're not wasting these resources, but we're using these resources and setting them up for failure in that industry, right? It's like how many people is going to be able to go and get a job navigating with the stars? I think there's like 5 of them in the whole world. You know what I mean? Like Uncle Nainoa is one of them.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, like that's their program. That's how they run their thing.
I see what you mean.
But for me, if I was to create this thing, my end goal is making sure that they have vocation after they're done, they have a career, and they have the guidance they need, the mentorship. Because it's one thing, you know, a lot of our keikis go to school, get the education, come out, but there's that mentorship that's lost in between where like you could save them 10, 15, 20 years of mistakes just by not even giving them the answer, just guiding them, you know what I mean? Like,
And being present.
and being present.
Being present. Having a place to go to access, right?
Like, I don't know how many times I'm out there wishing I could call my captain, my mentors who have gone before me, you know, like, hey, what do I do now? But they're no longer here.
So in this, you wave a magic wand, you get what you want, resources unlimited. It's to create. That's one way of measuring, I guess you could say, success or happiness in a place is like, what does or in a field, for example, this industry is like, can you make a living? Like a unit of one for Hawaii is like what? I think, what is it, 120?
Oh, right.
Like a two-parent
it's
household,
over 100,000,
let's say 120,000, don't quote me, but like, let's say in a household of 2 adults, maybe get some kids too, you got a unit of one is what it takes to live like the median lifestyle, 120K a year. So this vocation that you create and I come out of it, I know that I get like a 1.3 or 1.5. This is a 1.5 scale. Yeah, I'm gonna do it because I can make what I need for my family, plus a little wiggle room. That's a good job, like an engineer, doctor, or like nurse. Like
Exactly.
maybe a nurse or engineer is like a 2.3,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like doctors, like 4 or something. That scale, and it sounds like if I learned today how to navigate by the stars, currents, and winds, it's like a 0.
0.1.
Yeah, it's just, that's the sad truth that maybe what you're doing, creating that industry to then come out and use that skill, because it is a skill.
Yeah.
And if now it's not economically motivated, it could die. It could die with that generation, like you're saying, of all like the current long line captains in 50s going into 60s. Like that's a wave that's not coming back unless there's another one building up. So if you did that, I feel like there's probably blueprints or something like blueprints in other places. Like you've been more than me in the Pacific Ocean. I've never been to Tahiti or Aotearoa. Have you seen examples in other places that you're like, that's going to be a part of this plan?
Yeah, man, there's a bunch. I mean, there's like the Westpac has been helping the people in Samoa. Like their long line fleet down there is 100% owned by the Samoans, yeah. And a lot of I don't know the exact number, but a lot of them is Wahine too, like owners. And
So they have different kind of, not so archaic like us.
exactly, it's like let's just make it work, whatever it takes, right? And our Wahine, you know, bro, we can't do what we do without them.
Without them holding it down.
Exactly. So now we use that same strength, but put it into business or put it into managing. You know what I mean? Like some things that Wahine are just naturally better at, like organization, guarantee. You know what I mean? Like
Doing more than one thing.
exactly. It's like they're just
Yeah.
naturally that's their gifts, right?
Yeah.
So why not let them use it and make it part of the team? You know what is funny is everybody always looks to us. They look to America, they look to Hawaii because we set the standard, right? Because well, we the standard. We are America. We supposed to be the ones leading the way, you know what I mean? Making sure we on the moral right ground, which is not so much nowadays, but that's how the world used to view us. And especially in like business, they still looking at us like, oh, these are the people that do it the best, right?
So I take a captain from Hawaii over a captain from Samoa.
Oh, any day.
But let's say you got the same exact boat, rig, setup, bait, whatever, same setup, but different captains. You still going with the,
I'm still going with our captains, guarantee.
okay. Captains and it kind of defined for us like land people like myself, you know what I mean? Like I never spent more than 2 days on a boat, one night, yeah. What is a captain's role? In a long line fleet, what is a captain's role?
Basically, once you leave the dock, the captain is in charge of everything, bro. Every life on that boat is in your hand. So it's not like when the guys are, clock out. It's like when you're not fishing, you're still in charge of these guys. You know what I mean? Like you're in charge of this vessel. You're in charge of the engine, making sure that you get back home. Like there's nothing that the captain is not 100% in charge of or responsible for. Like, you know what I mean? Like anything happened, the crew could go kill somebody, one other crew, still the captain's fault. You know what I mean? Like, because you should have seen these things ahead of time unfolding, you know what I mean? And, it's like
Basically all the responsibility.
everything
That weight is on captain's shoulders.
on captain's shoulders.
And that, at least in Hawaii, has never been on a woman's shoulders.
No.
Even though I feel like they're the best protectors of life.
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to dudes versus women. But that's normal, let's say, over there in Samoa.
Yeah.
What about New Zealand?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not like too.
Or like Philippines? You've been like Southeast Asia? Like
I haven't been there, but I do know, like, talking with some of the crew is like,
because get plenty Filipino crew.
oh yeah, plenty Filipino crew, and they still live like the old style. Like the Wahine still have their kuleana, right? And the biggest one is the home, mother, becoming, So down there, it's very like the men do most of the work, but the women is always working, right? Farming, taking care of the livestock, whatever. Like some of my friends, they've been on these long line boats almost 20 years. They go home for a month, 2 months, come back. But you see their house and nicer than my house. You know what I mean? Like they get their farm set up. Some of them have a restaurant set up back home in the Philippines. You know what I mean? Like they come here and they work their ass off so that they can take care of their family back there. And then some of them just fall in love with it and they just want to keep doing it, right?
Because their family's balling.
Exactly. And they just keep building and keep building, you know? So
Hey, I mean, a lot of that, the life hacks that immigrants figure out and continue and grow, that is real powerful stuff. And we have so many examples of that in Hawaii. A lot of them through the Asian communities.
oh yeah. You know
when you talk about like, it's crazy when you look at what like Power or like these kind of dramas that happen on East Coast and what black, white, like
Yeah.
American. Bro, there could be an equal version in the Pacific, and how all these different parts of influence from the Asian countries on the Pacific play out in business in Hawaii. Oh, bro, that could be one.
Bro, that's on a whole
That could be
nother
one
thing,
True
bro.
Detective. That could be.
And especially, you know, like us, bro, I'm always just trying to learn, but bro, more billionaires left China this last year than ever. You know what I mean? Like, and where are they going? They're going to a lot of small island nations. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
buying up, like, it's a big thing in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Like, it's huge all over because, bro, these guys are so smart. You know what I mean? And so it's for us to either, learn from them and hey, get on our stuff, or you gotta get out the way. You know what I mean?
Well, what do you like if you keep going on this path here, right? We mentioned you might have this boat, might have a long line boat, might have a fleet, who knows? Do you ever see yourself being not a captain but like an owner?
Yeah, eventually, because ultimately, bro, after my kids is growing up, I just want to chill with my wife and do whatever she wants to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's right. You work so hard so you can spend time with your family. And like for us, we have young kids. But after one day, they're going to be gone. They're going to leave. They're going to be living their life. And I want to be able to just, you know, spend the rest of my days with my wife. And that's going to entail giving up the kuleana to others to run the boat or, you know, sell it or whatever. But I don't see me ever stopping being part of the industry as far as, because I have, like I said, we want to make these this nonprofit. We want to make these programs where we can teach the next generation. You know what I mean? And eventually, like I told Caleb, I told a bunch of these guys, like even the president of the Long Island Association, bro, I want to sit on the council one day. I want to be representing the fishermen in these meetings, because if it's not us going to represent us, then it's going to be them representing us, because we're so busy fishing all the time, right? It's why you don't see these captains at any of these meetings. Why? Because they're not even home. You know what I mean? So,
And if they are back home, they want to be with their family.
exactly. So,
Not in on meeting.
exactly. But somebody needs to be there. You know what I mean? Somebody has to be there. And
I could definitely see you as an instructor. I could definitely see you as a mentor. I could definitely see you in these roles, whether it's in the NPO or maybe as owner / like manager of a fleet or something like that, where you're still as active and effective at what you're doing. Probably actually getting more effective, as we would hope.
Yeah, that's our goal. You know what I mean? Like,
So, and also, like you said, like more ownership, because there's people out there with deep pockets and crazy playbooks who will do it.
exactly.
So if you don't, and that's why I feel like you've you made the right move with already like going in to having that kind of presence online. So if anybody's curious, they know, they plug in right away,
Right.
and they get a picture of what this guy is, what he's about, what he's doing, where he's at, how I can help. Boom, doesn't take long. What are you looking forward to then, as far as when it comes to having this already in place? Like, let's say we got the NPO's been running for 5 years. you guys can pump out like 200 graduates
Oh,
or
man.
200 captains. Is that ridiculous? Like, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't see why not. You know what I mean?
200 new captains out there, and they can all make like a 1 point something, or maybe we going up. So maybe it's like a 0.5 or a 1, right?
Man, you got some of these captains make some money. You know what I mean? But
What is it? Yeah.
like, like I know I have some friends who average 150 to 200K a year. You know what I mean? But they out there a lot of months.
Is that net? Like they bring home that much,
Yeah,
but their time is like half.
not even half. You know what I mean? Like 75-25.
Ooh, okay.
And like you can go talk to some of the old school captains and they'd be like, yeah, if you look at how many hours I'm on the ocean, I get paid less than somebody who works at McDonald's, right? When you break down the hourly wage.
Time.
And so I think when we can allow them to, like you said, make that 1 point whatever
Yeah.
and still have the time that they were missing all this time by putting one more captain, two more captains in the mix.
That gotta be in there too. That's another scale or measurement we gotta make because it's true.
And like just going back to like how you said earlier, like not caring about the money. It's not so much we don't care. Like we understand it's a tool, right? But it's like I don't need all of them. You know what I mean? Like it's like if I see my brother doing good, bro, right on. You know what I mean? If we can spread it out and we get 5 captains who making a decent living instead of this one who's making a real good living, but ours is out. You know what I mean? Like so we're trying to just balance the scales. Make it more bearable, more enjoyable just to live.
What then is after? Because I know you mentioned like real estate. Are there other ways that you think eventually this is going to lead to, as far as like you said you went the other way, right? Selling fish on the side of the road.
Right.
Now you're on the boat. Like, is that lead to, okay, now I own a harbor or like or something adjacent to that? Like,
right.
Now I own an icing packaging company or.
Yeah, like I never thought that far down the line. Just because in the recent short time that we've been, because like before this, I always thought I'm just gonna fish and make a living just fishing. Yeah, that would be my life. I'll own my boat, maybe 1 or 2 boats. My son could run one, but it's like now. Before I used to think, I don't like be the one with the big company, the big overhead. I just to be this small guy who stays in my lane. You know what I mean? But then now I'm like, they say money is the root of all evil, but it's not the money itself. And if all the bad people have all the money, then of course they're going to do bad things with it. So why not let some of us good people have some of the money and do some good things with it? And it wasn't until I started shifting my mentality, my mind to like, it's okay to make money. It's okay to do okay. Like, why should I feel bad because we working hard to get to this point? You know what I mean?
We came from nothing. So we had this kind of negative association with money.
Exactly.
Right? It just represents problems, namely in how much I owe or how much my mom owes.
Exactly.
Another notice letting me know how much charges I got for being late.
Yeah.
Like it's just negative all the way. Mm-hmm. But imagine, which as fathers now, I try to associate the money with like pieces on a board. Where is it going? Why is it going there? Oh, there's a space for it here. Let's make a space for it here and then fill that up. Exactly. How much did you put in there today? How much did you put in there this week? Exactly. Oh, you got this birthday envelope. Where are you going to put it at?
Exactly.
Not, fuck. Like how you get like late notices and shit like that. It's like, I think now if you have that positive association, it's something to use it with, almost like a game.
Exactly.
Almost like a game. It's like a board game now. The guilt goes away.
Yeah.
It's fun now. It's interesting. At least for us, like, I think if you're born in a different class, you're probably not gonna be saying what I say. Yeah. Right? Your relationship is way different than mine.
Yeah.
I'm saying what I'm saying because where I started and my experience to where I'm at, and just maybe a little bit projecting a little bit where that's going. Right. Some people just in a completely different realm when it comes to that kind of what it means to them, money and all that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know you said Maine, yeah?
Yeah.
And you saw Was it Maine where you saw we're having a conversation about poverty? It looks different in different places, but sometimes like when you see kids in poverty, they look so happy.
Yeah.
I don't know, was Maine, maybe it wasn't, because what part of Maine did you go to? It was like
I
the
was like living all over, mostly like in the bushes. You know, like I seen winters where they have to leave the stove open in the house. Like people don't understand. Like that's real. Like people don't have heat. You know what I mean? Like oil, $4,000, $5,000 a winter. You know what I mean? Like
that's one thing I saw too, is in some places with poverty was no trees, because people had to cut all the trees down just for firewood. And that's a reality that if you're in the same situation and homeless, houseless, unfortunate, whatever, you out, you don't have to deal with that too much here. I mean, I know people was tripping the last couple of weeks or whatever,
yeah, it's
but
so cold.
I was like, you can still sleep outside.
Exactly. You're not gonna die.
You
You
know.
know. What I mean?
But I mean, having that kind of outlook on like, this is something I want to do. Let me try it. Let me roll the dice. Let me take the risk. And then getting to a point where it feels like we're just getting started. I feel like now, what, 88, 85,
Yeah.
our age cohort is like upper 30s. And once you're kind of looking at 40, the game plan gets real
Yeah.
up here. And then the way you hit every day, kind of feel, I like, you know what I'm taking? Like, once I heard you say it, I was like, I'm taking that with me. Is look at the project, break it up, and do the hardest thing first. When you have the most energy, the sharpest eyes,
Yeah.
instead of leaving them for the end when you're already kind of worn out. So like, bro, I love that. I'm gonna take that with me.
Mahalo, bro.
What else I feel like can you give, not me, but like people who been vibing with what you're saying, maybe people who are gonna be in this industry.
I just say, like, for me, always just follow your na'au, follow your gut, your instincts, you know. Most times, what you feel is right doesn't always add up to what makes sense, if that makes sense, you know. Like, some things you just cannot explain to others why you have to go and do it, you know. But if you have that feeling and you follow through, win, lose, or draw, you can be proud to know that, hey, I got me. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to freaking betting, yeah, I always gonna bet on me, no matter what, no matter how ridiculous the odds are. I'm betting on myself. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know, when I look at my sons, my daughters, like, I can tell them, hey, dad gave his everything. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not afraid to tell them that, yeah, I failed many times, you know, but I never stopped. And that's one thing I'll say, never stop, no matter what.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
I think that's probably why so many people like having this kind of access to you, because they feel that raw person who's just like how you said earlier too, where it's like, bro, what you gonna say against me? Everything's out there already.
Yeah.
That kind of freedom, confidence, not in like one cocky way either, but just like I know what path I'm walking my path. I'm betting on myself. That kind of energy is like, bro, yeah. And I would say that you are that role model that like we never had. You know what I mean? For like the youngsters right now on the West Side looking around, like nobody else for a model. They see people like you, but that's somebody I connect with. That's somebody making a move. So thank you. Aloha ohana,
Mahalo,
as you
Ana.
always say. But I like you introduce these items too. Just, you know what I mean? Because we brought them.
Roger. So I'm just brought some small items, a little bit dirty, but we have some of the fishing buoys, and so these are the ones that everybody keep cutting, you guys. And
Oh, right. Those videos.
like, these things just like,
You found that guy or what on the kayak?
you know.
Why would somebody cut
So
a fisherman's buoy?
That particular one, I got the traps back. Yeah, I found his lures on my main line. So here's some of the main line.
Okay.
Put this one over here. And even this, bro, it's like $1 a foot. And to set one of my traps is like 2,000 feet, you know. So every time somebody cuts a buoy or I lose gear, not only is it money out of my pocket, but it's rubbish in the water. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, so that's at least $2,000
yeah, and that's
a buoy,
a setup. Yeah,
a setup. And if somebody, for what? Because his lure got stuck on him.
because his lure got stuck. And sometimes they have fish finders and they see the fish in my traps. So they're over there trying to catch the fish. They're never going to catch it, right? It's in my gear.
They're gonna hook up.
They're going to hook up and then I have them pull like 100 feet of line and cut my stuff. And, you know, so that's the world we live in. And especially on Oahu, it's just so much traffic, yo. Like, but I found these buoys ran over, like, completely blown up, like, boom.
Just that much traffic on the water.
Yeah, so much traffic on the water.
How did you get the trap back if you cut the line though?
So I started setting in double pots. So instead of single pots, so the pot on the bottom and then the buoy on the top, I run 2 pots. So 1 pot, then I'll have maybe like 1/4 mile, and then another pot, and then the line coming up. So if they cut the buoy, I can drag my grappling hook in between the 2 traps that I have on my GPS, which is, I got like maybe a 80% retrieval rate. Sometimes, like this last set that I lost, it's crazy. Quick story. Following the GPS, I get to my spot, right? There's a huge barge, and my freaking buoy is wrapped around their freaking anchor. So, bro, me and my dad is like next to this big boat. And I got the rope, I got the buoy, and I started pulling it up. Bro, the anchor was right on my trap. So I completely lost that gear. It's gone probably in like,
What are the chances of that?
first time ever. But I was tripping. So it does happen, and it's not like they're trying to do it. You know what I mean? It's just, what's the odds of that, you know?
In the whole ocean, the anchor fell right on the trap.
Right on the trap, bro.
So what? You just communicate with that captain, like,
Yeah, and there's nothing we could really do. So we just considered it a loss and move forward, huh?
And another question about like the way you fish. I don't think a lot of people are familiar with because they think hook and line.
Yeah.
Hook and line is fishing on a boat, maybe nets, but what you're doing is very.
Man, it's like one of the oldest ways of fishing, yeah, trap fishing. When you talk about the first traps the Hawaiians ever made, basically when the tide went out, we would stack rocks. And when the tide would come in, the fish would come into these rocks and live in the rocks. And when the tide go back out, we break the rock down, harvest the fish. So that was the beginning of trap fishing. And then just over time, it started to evolve into, we would build traps on top of rocks, set those in the water. And the Hawaiians have got so good at fishing, all types of fishing. I mean, like, very specific. Like, you want this fish, you fish them this way, and you catch that fish, you know. So a lot of this knowledge is, you only can get it in the books. But even that is like, you could read all the books in the world about fishing, and then you still got to go fishing, you know. So,
Believe me, I was there.
yeah.
I was like, easy to get started in something and get all excited and buy stuff. But if you're not out there using it,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But so then when you talk about trapping and then the danger of trapping, like somebody cutting a line, that trap is going to continue trapping for
as
for
long
a
as
long time.
Yeah, long time, man.
Because I imagine the decay just brings in more crap, all kind, just
Yeah,
life just keep coming in.
Man, I found, so one time my boat was down for like 2 months, and I got out there and the buoys were gone. I hooked my traps. Bro, 4 big sharks in my trap. All alive now, still alive. I had to cut out the tunnel, and then me and my dad had to flip it over, and we released them all alive. But it's just to think, okay, imagine if I never got that out there in time, you know. We would have had 4 dead sharks in the trap.
Probably more.
Yeah. Because the more, like you said, they die, more things come inside to eat that.
It's just a cycle.
It's just a terrible cycle, you know.
Because, I mean, I think all the shells could pile up, but that's a long time of just things coming in, dying, things coming in, dying.
And especially those old traps, like the ones I showed you that I got on my truck right now. We made it so it deteriorates faster, right?
The edges, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the old style traps that we had, bro, 20 years they could stay down there and catch because it was silicone covered chicken wires, right? So it's all protected and heavy metal wrapped, and those traps keep catching and catching and catching. So when we made the new gear, we decided, if we get 3 or 4 years out of each trap, it's a good lifespan. If it gets stuck down there, 2 years, decay, it would just,
Things can
yeah, exactly.
not get stuck. Oh, bruh.
So we're always, fishermen are always trying to, most of us trying to do better.
I think if you have that kind of access to that kind of resource, you automatically have that kind of kuleana as far as don't take advantage, don't overfish. But I know always get the bad apples who do whatever they want,
Yeah.
fly by night kind of stuff. I mean, I see them over here too.
Oh, bro, so much
I see
fish
guys
over here,
bro, scooping, and I'm like,
bro.
that's not even moy out of season,
Yeah,
all kind of stuff that.
It just comes down to, bro, we don't have enough food to feed everybody on the island, bro. You know what I mean? Like, all the food that we have in the stores, it's not enough. You know what I mean? It's just not even close to enough. It's like we could fish every day and still not be able to feed everybody, And that comes down to education and, like you said, you're always going to have bad apples. But as long as we're trying to grow more good apples and we can outnumber those bad, it's going to self-regulate it, I feel like. Because eventually, if you know that I'm catching moi or lobster out of season and I'm trying to sell it to you, and like, oh, P, isn't it not season? Oh, it's going to put it back on me, right? It's gonna be like, oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, my bad. Or whatever, however it'll go. But
So yeah, bro, thank you for coming through.
Kenji, my honor, bro.
Yee.
Yes, sir.